Coming up on Theater Talk.
Look at this monolithic, dark table. It's like an abyss.
Is it like your act?
This is the abyss that I stared into at the beginning of 2013 when the world didn't end.
Theater Talk is made possible in part by the CUNY TV Foundation. From New York City, this is Theater Talk. I'm Susan Haskins.
And I'm Michael Riedel of the New York Post.
So, Michael, the Public Theater is hosting the 10th annual Under the Radar, which is a festival
of all sorts of...
they've written here, an explosively diverse festival of new theater from the U.S. and around the world.
Well, you always go down there, and you've found some gems over the years.
So a highlight of this year's festival is our guest, the noted writer and TV personality, John Hodgman.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Who's not under the radar today, right?
No. But John, now you're a regular on The Daily Show.
Yes.
You've written all these books.
3 books.
You're now, by your own admission, a deranged millionaire.
I was. I am.
So
yes.
why are you going down to the cutting edge and with all these emerging
Surely they can't make your
artists?
feet
Well,
down there
see,
on the radar.
I wrote these books of fake facts, and the first one I was merely a former professional literary agent and writer, and then by this one I had accidentally gone on The Daily Show to promote this one,
Yes.
and I'd been asked back to do comedy on the show.
Yes.
They said, "Would you come back and do comedy?" And I said, "Sure." I thought they were being polite, but it's 7 years later and I still do it, so I guess it's for real. And then, of course, I went on and did these ads for Apple Computer, in which I played the
a few
PC.
people saw, right?
And then it came time to write this, my final book of complete world knowledge. And by this one, I was going by the deranged millionaire, because not that I'm incredibly wealthy, but all of this unexpected stuff made me financially independent for the first time, and I realized that wealth is the cure for almost all mental illness, it turns out. It certainly cured me of my need for therapy. I felt fantastic during those high times. And then I realized that I was turning 40, and that my trilogy of complete world knowledge was coming to an end. The ads were coming to an end. Everything was coming to an end, so I predicted the end of the world, and that was what this book is all about. I mean, this book is all was about what I called the coming global superpocalypse, or Ragnarok, and I predicted the end of the world and the blood wave and the omega pulse and the dog storm, and I also put in some fun facts in there about how to cook an owl and how to interpret your dreams and that sort of thing. Well, what happened, December 21st, 2012, I presented a one-man show based on material from these books at the Bell House, and went on Netflix as a comedy special called Ragnarok. Mm-hmm. And it was December 21st, 2012, and the world was supposed to end.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you noticed, unfortunately, it didn't end.
And you still managed to be in demand, even though your predictions were wildly off base?
Oh yeah, don't worry about it. There are a lot of failed doomsday prophets in the past,
still in business.
Harold Camping's still out there. It was the second great disappointment. That's for you history nerds out there. And it was very disappointing for me. I was really relying on the predictions of the ancient Mayans and the end of the long count calendar to bring about the end of the world. But it didn't happen, and I guess that's on me. I shouldn't have trusted an ancient civilization that writes in stone and can't even make smooth pyramids.
Sooner or later you're going to be right, though, are you not? You just
oh
may
yes,
not be
that's
around
true.
for it.
That's true. Someday there will be a doomsday prophet, and that man or woman will be correct. So I thought I had even money,
Decent shot at it.
I could be right this time, but I turned out to be wrong, and instead the next day came up, and my dumb life just continued in the same dumb way. And so I had to figure out, as we all do when we reach these changes, these turning points in our life, what we have to do next. What are we going to do?
You decided to do theater.
I decided to do something, my imitation of theater. Somewhere between my imitation of theater and my imitation of stand-up is the show that I did for Netflix called Ragnarok, and this new show that I'm presenting at the public in January called I Stole Your Dad. Now that was the second title I gave. Originally it was going to be called John Hodgman Stars as famous American humorist John Hodgman in John Hodgman Lives! ! But that was a little hard to fit on a marquee, so we changed it to I Stole Your Dad.
Yeah, what does that mean, I stole your dad?
Well, you're just going to have to come down to the public to find out.
You could have a sequel, I stole your mom, right? I mean, this could be a...
There is a moment in the show where I steal a guy's dad. That's what it comes down to. I'm not kidnapping anybody. It's a metaphoric theft. But the stories that I'm telling on stage now are far more candid and personal than anything I've ever done before. I had gone through these 3 iterations: the expert, the minor celebrity, the doomsday prophet / deranged millionaire, and it's all over now. Goodbye. Goodbye.
It's just...
Even the box set?
The box set.
The box set.
This is available. I'm not saying you can't buy these things, but you have to keep them on the floor now. It's a clean, it's a clean slate. And look at this monolithic, dark table. It's like an abyss.
Is it like your act?
This is the abyss that I stared into at the beginning of 2013 when the world didn't end. And I had to figure out what I was going to do next in my life. So I started putting on a little show in a basement at Union Hall in Park Slope where I live, and just started getting on stage and forcing myself to talk. And I didn't want to pretend to be anyone else anymore. I just wanted to be me and tell stories that actually happened to me. I'm a real human.
So are we talking to you now? Because when you're on the Daily Show,
so.
when you're on the Daily Show and you're the deranged millionaire,
yes,
is that you?
That's always John Hodgman.
Yes.
On the Daily Show, in these books and everything else. It's always an exaggerated version of John Hodgman. So I don't live in an observatory. You know what I mean? And eat gold-plated strawberries every day. But I am the kind of person who knows a lot about how to cook owls, for example, and I'll put that into the book. For this, it's from an old cookbook. Apparently, the way you cook owls, you pluck them and then you just fricassee them the way you would blackbirds. That's from Mary Land's Louisiana Cookery, my favorite book of all time.
Well, that's
Really? That
But
sounds rather good.
That's a digression.
How do you capture the owl?
What's that?
How do you capture the owl?
You have to lure them. You have to lure them with books. They love books.
Really?
Yeah.
Because they're wise.
Yeah, they're wise. You always see them. You lure them with books, or you get the goddess Athena to stand around your apartment and throw owl lights on her shoulder.
And then you kill them quickly like you would do with a rabbit, whack them on the back of the head?
Oh, yeah. All you have to do is wait for them to wind down. All owls are
Then throw 'em in
clockwork.
the
You know
pan.
that, don't you? Every owl is a clockwork owl. This is obviously not true. I know that owls aren't clockwork, everybody. Hey, John Hodgman, we're back at Theater Talk. The point is that the exaggerated version of myself on the Daily Show and here, comes. It reflects my preoccupations, weird and esoteric as they may be. But I'm also a normal human. I have 2 human children, and I have a human wife, and we live a normal, relatively normal
In Human Park
life,
Slope.
but in Human Park Slope. But and so this is in this show. I talk about my children, in public for really kind of the first and only time. I tend to hesitate to talk about my children and tell stories about them because it feels like I'm stealing something from them.
yes, but might it damage them?
Oh, it never occurred to me. I guess I don't care. What I was saying is, though, that I don't like to tell stories about my children because it just seems a little like children. They're lovely, but they're very dumb. They're not very intelligent creatures.
How old are they?
I have no idea. I think they're. My human daughter is going to turn 12, and my human son is going to turn 8. Or no, he's going to turn 9 next year. See, I really don't know. But they're very lovely and everything. But with kids, especially when they're little, they don't know how to talk right. They say dumb things, and it's fun to tell those stories to people. And I always hesitated to tell them on stage because it just felt like transcription. And the subtext of every story about your child is kids say hilarious things, and I am old and dying, and I don't want to be. But look at the abyss. I have to fill it up with something. And this is a real part of my life that I'm just not talking about. So I tell stories about my children, but in order to get around my distaste for telling stories about children, I just pretend that I'm telling stories about my cat.
Well, I was going to say, for your children, you're going to have to get more money to pay the psychiatrist bills.
Yeah, no, I know. That's why they're working already.
So the act that you're doing now, I Stole Your Dad. These are real events that happened in your life?
These are real stories. Yeah, these
This
are
is
real
real
stories. Yes.
Well, now it says here that you are going to talk about obsolete technology, marijuana, and Downton Abbey.
I don't know what marijuana is, so I don't know how that got in there.
That's just
What is
as
that?
well. It's
I know you theater people, probably, right?
Have you been to our green room?
Yeah, no kidding. Wow.
Michael has not smoked marijuana, but
Is that true?
But that's
I can't smoke.
but I smoked it incessantly.
Yeah, but you have incredibly glaucoma-free eyes.
That's very true. It's very true.
It's
I was
why you
a-
stumble over your words because of all
Yes,
that pot
I
you
think
smoked
so.
back
There's
in
a
the
lot of
day.
damage there.
Yeah, I'll tell you about marijuana. It's a controlled substance.
Yes.
And I'm an only child. I'm an only child, and that means that I'm a member of the super smart, afraid of conflict narcissist club, who has to be good all the time. So I always avoided the drugs when I was a kid, and I never really smoked marijuana until I turned 40, and then and two things happened.
The abyss.
One is that I turned 40, and I needed to remain vital and hip and relevant. And I know that the kids are all smoking those jazz cigarettes. And two is it's becoming more and more legal all around the country. So the stigma is
Yes, I'm afraid that's going to be true.
vaporizing,
Yeah,
so to speak.
they're going to be marijuana e-cigarettes in no time.
There are, I can't say. I can't say what there is and there isn't. Are we allowed to talk about this on public television?
Yeah.
I think so.
Elaine
This is
Stritch
like-
came on here and swore once.
This is like the right wing's like nightmare now, right?
Wait, I'm a registered Republican, so we're all right.
Are you really?
Oh.
Good. Yeah, but I mean, three theater types sitting around on
Talking about
publicly funded
cannabis.
television talking about marijuana.
Oh, but I'm saying it. Don't do it. It's the worst. You'll end up working for Michael
You'll end
Riedel.
up looking Now, what is your Downton Abbey? Why are you going to talk about Downton Abbey?
Well,
Since we are on PBS.
Yes.
Yes.
Flagship show.
Yes, Downton Abbey.
Well, you recall how I was saying that I tell stories about my children in this show, but in order to get around telling stories about children, I pretend that I'm telling stories about my cats.
Right.
And so, like in a lot of my stories, it's about how my cats and I love to watch Downton Abbey. So I watch Downton Abbey with my cats, and my cats, particularly my younger cat, has some hilarious questions about what's going on between the human men and women on the Downton Abbey cast.
What's their biggest quandary? I mean, what are they most curious about?
Well, my younger cat turned to me at one point and said, I don't understand what that human woman is saying to that human man. And I said, well, that's Mary Crawley, and she's trying to say to Matthew that she's in love with him. And there's this long pause, and my younger cat, kind of almost to himself, goes, that's a very hard thing to do. You have to pick just the right time. Right? Cats say the darndest things. And then my older cat turned to him and said, shut up! Trying to watch this. Why don't you get more intelligent before watching this show?
What do your cats make of Maggie the Cat Smith in the play?
Oh, my older cat adores Maggie Smith. But I have never met Maggie Smith. I will tell you this right now, though. I have met Shirley MacLaine. I was at an event with my older cat. This is code for my daughter.
Yes.
If you're just tuning in. I was at an event. This is not in the show. We were at an event together, and there was Shirley MacLaine. And I really don't like to bother people.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm a famous minor television person.
You,
I know what it's like.
Yeah.
You know, like when I was at the Y, at the 9th Street Y on Monday and Tuesday, and Bill de Blasio's there both days working out. By the way, Bill de Blasio, you got to kick it up a little bit. That's the stationary bike. You got to go faster. You're not getting anything out of that. But I didn't tell that to you, Bill de Blasio, because I respected your privacy.
your boundaries. Yeah.
Even though you kept showing up, you obviously wanted to talk to me.
Oh, wait a minute. Tell me about Shirley MacLaine.
Oh, right. So I was in an event, and I couldn't. I was there with my daughter, and she loves Downton Abbey, and I couldn't not approach Shirley MacLaine. I felt like I knew her already in a previous life, perhaps. Bad joke. But I walked up to her and I said, "I just would like to say you're great, and my daughter and I are both fans of yours, and particularly your turn on Downton Abbey this past season, because she's spectacular. And she goes, I like your haircut, I said, thank you very much. And she said, that mustache is hilarious. You know, and I also had a kind of a beard at that time because I was told to stop grooming for a role, an acting role that I got.
Oh, well, we'll have to ask you about it. No, we can't.
I can't tell you about it, but I can tell you that to prepare for this role, my main job was to look terrible.
Oh, my goodness.
Just let my hair grow, and what passes for my beard, and this, what looks like a fake mustache is a real, this is my luxurious real mustache that just doesn't match the rest of my hair in any way. It makes people nervous.
But Shirley liked your,
She thought it was,
your hair suit look.
She thought it was great, and I said, yeah, they have told me not to groom, and she said, of course not. You have a natural face for comedy. And then she went back to her lunch, which is a wonderful compliment, and then a not so wonderful compliment.
Well, yeah, a friend of mine had Thanksgiving with Shirley MacLaine down in New Mexico. And there was this couple who came with Shirley MacLaine. In the middle of the Thanksgiving dinner, the couple said, you know, we're Shirley's parents.
Oh, what?
Yeah, in another life they were.
So that's
and then Shirley talked about the flying saucers over her house.
Well, that's where they are. They're all in New Mexico.
Although Marcia Mason lives right next to Shirley, and Marcia was at the Thanksgiving dinner. Marcia said, you know, I never see those flying saucers over my house.
Don't you think that Marcia Mason is actually out there with like remote control flying saucers
over
she gets from Sky Mall just to like gaslight Shirley MacLaine? Like, we're gonna have some fun. Let's have some fun today.
I never thought about that as possible.
Let's put up some luminous balloons and make some ghost noises.
Let's give Shirley something to go nutty about. In
Oh,
life.
she couldn't have been nicer, though. You know, I don't. Whatever comfort people need to give themselves as they face down the dark abyss of their own mortality, I let them have it.
Well, but Shirley really should not be afraid, since she's had many past lives and many more lives to come.
That's what that's what I'm saying.
So what's the problem then?
I have no look. Maybe she's right. We'll all find out eventually.
Who will you come back as? Who would you like to come back as?
How would that work? You mean I would inhabit another person's body?
Yes.
Like another existing, like I could come back as Shirley MacLaine?
If you wanted to.
I don't think that's how reincarnation works. It's been a long time since,
But you'd have no.
I've read the text.
Yeah.
You come back as an owl.
If I do, I think the way it works is if you are not a monster in life, you get to come back
Something better.
as a human, which is the top of it, until you transcend to not have to come back at all.
But if you are a monster in life, you have to come back as an insect.
As an insect or a clockwork
You have to come
owl.
back as a co-host with Susan Haskins.
Watch out.
I would not want to come back as anything but me.
No.
I mean, I don't look at these books on the floor. I'll put them back up here so we can get some really. They're still available, you know, in stores and so on.
Somewhere. Let me ask you.
But you know, I've had such a ridiculously charmed life, especially you know, I reached my 30s having thought that if I was lucky, I would get to write a book of fake trivia. You know, because there was no time to start any other career at that point. And I was writing for the New York Times Magazine. I was writing journalism, real facts.
Which can be boring and tedious after a while.
They are, and you know, facts are not what most people tend to believe in. You know what I mean?
Now, John, do you know any fake trivia about theater, since you're now taking on a career as a theater star at the Under the Radar Festival?
I always wanted to do one about theatrical superstitions and the things you're not supposed to say in a theater. But they're just too ridiculous. The real ones are too ridiculous.
Well, you can't whistle backstage.
No, and I can't even hum it back. I can't even hum backstage. I don't even know the tune to backstage.
And you're not supposed to say Macbeth in the theater.
What are you guys doing to me? This is a theater. What are you doing? Why are you doing? No! Well, we're not backstage at the moment.
That's right. Lady Macbeth to my right here.
So, you know,
Do you not believe in those things?
I don't believe in anything.
I'm new enough to theater that I'm terrified now.
Let me ask you though, you mentioned that you had a real acting part. As you begin to move into your 40s and ultimately into your 50s, are you going to become an actor?
I have a face built for comedy, according to Shirley MacLaine.
No, but I mean, do you see yourself? Can you play another part besides yourself? Could I cast you, let's say, as George in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Could you tackle that?
What a dump!
No.
That's
Wait,
Martha.
wrong part.
Martha's line. No,
I could probably do Martha. Pretty good.
Just as long as you don't play the clown who cried.
Oh, you mean the
The
Jerry
day,
Lewis?
yes. Don't
The day the clown
the
cried?
day that don't feel you have to reveal your inner.
Oh, I have so many schemes. I had this idea. I was having dinner with Johnny Knoxville, who is, you know, the Jackass
Yes.
leader of Jackass.
Were you really having dinner with Johnny?
Well, you know, I rubbed
Very
elbows with
hard.
all of them. Shirley MacLaine one night, Johnny Knoxville the next.
Bill de Blasio at the
Yeah, Bill de
gym.
Blasio at the gym. We're all gonna take the Virgin Galactic together in a couple of years. But Johnny Knoxville is like, you know, it was right after I think Jackass 3D had come out, and it was a big success. We were going to follow this up, and I said, "Here's what you should do." And I gave this to him. He's had a lot of time to work on this, so I don't feel bad about revealing it now because I don't think he's going to do it. You guys should do a heist movie, right? A heist movie where you've never robbed anything before. But you do an Ocean's 11, but it's real. You're actually stealing something, and the thing you are stealing is the lone surviving print of The Day the Clown Cried from Jerry Lewis's house. And what you do is you don't tell him that you're shooting a movie. You just go and steal it, and you shoot the whole thing. And then you've got the most incredible. It is a non-fiction heist movie with great potential for anger.
So has he suppressed The Day the Clown Cried?
For those of you following along at home, The Day the
don't even know what The Day
Clown
the
Cried
Clown
Oh my dear!
is
Well,
a
he's going to
movie
tell
that
you.
is a legendary movie that Jerry Lewis wrote, directed, acted, starred in, shot completely about a clown, I think in Poland, who is thrown into a concentration
Into
camp.
Auschwitz, yes.
And he collaborates with the Nazis, his captors, for better treatment by agreeing to entertain the children on the way to the gas chamber. Spy magazine did a huge story when Spy magazine existed about this, where it was sort of an oral history of this movie, of all the people who have seen it, and there aren't many, because after it was
Can you
done,
get it anywhere? Can you
the
find-
oral history said, it's like Harry Shearer I know saw it, and it's basically like, I saw the movie and I said, no one must ever see this. And then the next person said, I also saw the movie and I said, no one must ever see this. And after a while, Jerry Lewis put it aside, and it's never been screened. And it's for a certain.
It was never released. It was
No. It's been screened maybe twice for a select group of people, and it's never been shown since. He suppressed it. He realized, oh no, this was a terrible
Yes.
idea.
This goes back to Shirley MacLaine saying you have a great face for comedy, and we're talking about your booming acting career.
Oh,
although
right.
you can't tell us about your secret role where you look like somebody who's a slovenly mess. But that I was just
It's
saying
not that I look like a slovenly mess. Everyone
well, that
must
sounds
look.
very interesting. But
You can probably figure it out.
but
No, you actually
I probably couldn't, no, but
because of all of your, and we know.
yeah, right.
Because of your glaucoma.
It's very true. That's very true. So now back to because we only have a few minutes left.
Oh yeah.
Back to your big theatrical
Well, this
show.
is the role of a lifetime for me, because it truly is. I am truly performing as myself for the very
Now,
first
how
time.
did you get into the Under the Radar? Did you talk to Mark Russell, the director?
Yeah,
the
yes.
co-director?
He contacted. He was in touch with my manager, Olivia Wingate, at
Yeah.
Milan, and she said, John's doing this show in a basement in Brooklyn. He's been developing it over a year, and they very kindly invited me. And the public, I mean, I'm terrified about it. You know.
No.
Well, no. I mean, it's an amazing venue, and you know, I've seen great monologues there, and I have a lot to live up to.
So,
But it's the real challenge is this is John Hodgman performing as John Hodgman. Not any of the, you know, my role now is just to be myself, and that's terrifying. And I hope if I do it well enough, then I get to start pretending to be other people a little bit more, because I do enjoy doing that very much.
Then you'll be a proper actor.
There's no such thing.
so you're going to be.
I'm looking forward to your Martha, though.
I am
really
look. I am a proper fraud in every other aspect of my life. Why shouldn't I be a professional faker like an actor?
That's right.
So John, this premieres January 10th.
January 10th at the Public Theater.
5 performances only.
That is my understanding.
I believe so. And Judge John, what is it?
Judge John Hodgman is my podcast and
Wonderful.
column in the New York Times
Yes.
Magazine. That's a whole other story.
That's very good.
JohnHodgman.com. No E in Hodgman. Here, it's spelled just like it is on my best-selling books.
And you've
That
got
is all the areas of my expertise. More information than you
Don't forget the
require.
box set.
Don't forget the box.
And the box set, Complete World Knowledge.
There's no advertising here on PBS whatsoever, right?
No.
Oh,
All right.
All
John
right.
Hodgman,
I'm also launching a cologne, by the way.
okay. Well, you have to come back and tell us
am.
about
What are you
that.
gonna
We're out of
call
time.
it?
Oh, we're out of time.
I couldn't say it. It's actually, I couldn't say what it's called.
All right. Thanks a lot for being our
Thank
guest,
you
John
very much. My pleasure.
Are we going to ever gonna get to see The Day the Clown Cried?
No. No. You want to know why? I was embarrassed. I was ashamed of the work, and I was grateful that I had the power to contain it all and never let anybody see it. It was bad, bad, bad. It could have been wonderful, but I slipped up.
Our thanks to the Friends of Theater Talk for their significant contribution to this production. Theater Talk is made possible in part by the Frederick Lowe Foundation, the Eleanor Naylor Dana Charitable Trust, the Corey and Bob Donnelly Charitable Fund, the Noel Coward Foundation, Carrie J. Fries, the Dorothy Strelson Foundation, the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, and the New York State Council on the Arts, a state agency.
We welcome your questions or comments for Theater Talk. Thank you and good night.